One of the key parts of the ODA Canvas reference implementation is that we have extended Kubernetes to make ODA components a first-class citizen in a Kubernetes ecosystem. This means you can view and interact with ODA components using any commonly available tool, as well as building custom user experiences on top of the API. Let me quickly demonstrate this with a few examples. I'm going to start by showing what I've got installed locally. So I've installed the reference implementation of the ODA Canvas, and this can be installed from the TM-Form ODA GitHub repository, and it's installed using Helm. So I add the Helm repo and then do a Helm install, and that'll install my base canvas. And I'm going to be using reference example components, which are also available in the TM-Form ODA GitHub repository. And again, you can add these by adding the Helm repo using this Helm repo add command, and then you can install any of the example charts. So let me do that. I'm going to start by just showing the very base tools, just using the command line. And so when I'm in my command line, I can just use the basic Kubernetes and Helm's commands. So if I say kube get pods, I'm connected to the components namespace, and you see nothing's installed at the moment. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a Helm install of a component from that Helm chart repository. So Helm install, I give it a release name R1, and it's from the ODA components repository. I'm just installing the product catalog sample component. And what you can see now is if I do the same kube control get pods, you'll see there's a set of pods being deployed as part of that component. But as I said, the component itself is a first-class citizen, so I can say kube control get components. And it'll show that there is an R1 product catalog component. It's a first-class citizen, and it's showing the status of the deployment. And this also applies to the other resources that we're creating as part of this as well. So I can see what APIs this component has, because the API is a first-class citizen. So I say kube control get APIs. So this is showing me this component has 3 separate APIs, and it's giving me some useful details about the availability of those APIs and the fact that they're actually ready to receive traffic. And you can even customize the kube control interface. So, and we've got an example customization. So if I say kube control component info, so this is a custom plugin in kube control, which gives you a nice visualization of this is the component, its deployment state is complete, and it's showing that I've got APIs in the core function, in the management function, in the security function, and you can see it's actually connected to my Keycloak as the identity management server. So this is showing using the very, very base Kubernetes tools, components as a first-class citizen. This means I can use any tool which supports the Kubernetes standard, and I'm going to show a couple of examples. So if I just go into this is the standard Rancher user interface. So this is the ODA Canvas running in AWS, and we're using Rancher to manage our Kubernetes cluster. And if I go into here, I can see all the standard Kubernetes resources. But if I go into more resources, you'll see there's an oda.tmform.org space. And under there, again, I can see these are components which are deployed in the AWS environment that people are using. And again, I can see the APIs as a first-class citizen and see the same information in Rancher. And just as another example, I'm going to show the same thing in the Google Cloud. So this is the Google Kubernetes engine. This is what the Innovation Hub is using at the moment. You see I've got a number of Kubernetes clusters. And again, if I go into the object browser, I can then get to see all different sorts of extensions which exist on top of Kubernetes. And if I look down this list, I should be able to see. Yeah, here's the TM-Form ODA namespace. You can see these are the resources that we've extended. So again, components is first-class citizen, so I can see my components. I can also see the other resources like APIs. We're working on dependent APIs, on publish and subscribe using the event pattern. And all these resources you can see because we're supporting a standard way of extending Kubernetes to support the components concept. And the very last one I'm going to show you, the most mature, is our colleagues in China have contributed a portal on top of this. So there's a Canvas portal. Again, it's in the TM-Form ODA GitHub repository. And what they've done is they built this very nice portal on top of the API. And so I can go and browse through the different components in my repository. If I click on this, you can see this is the component that I just deployed a few seconds ago. And it's showing me a nice list in my component instances. I see it in this nice hexagonal format. You can see what they're setting out to do is they're going to show the canvas, showing all the canvas services working. And in this one, if I click on component instances, I get to see that component. I can go into more details. I can even create new instances. So this portal is also connected to our Helm repository. So if I click create instance, I can go and choose which particular component I want to deploy, and it will list all the components in the Helm repository you're connected to, and I give it a different release name. And just like that, I can deploy a new software component. And if I go and look at the details of the first one, you can see, so this is showing me, this is the component, the status of the component, and you can see the deployment state is complete. And you can customize the interface as much as you want. So this is showing the APIs for that component, and I can even go into, so this is the party role API, which is part of the security section. I can actually go and have a look at the Swagger standard document for that party role management component, and even go into and actually call the API through this nice interface. So I want to see, who's registered as a listener for the party role management. I can actually call these APIs and interact with my component in this nice way. Okay, hopefully that was a nice quick introduction to what we're doing to extend Kubernetes as part of the ODA Canvas work and make components a first-class citizen as a standard reference implementation using Kubernetes. Thanks for your time.